But let's jump into Thursday night. We got the Bears hosting the Washington Commanders.
Oh, yeah.
The Bears are favorites by a point. The total's 37.5. So one of the lowest totaled games of the year, if not the lowest.
Has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was another Bears Niners game dropped because of the weather in week 1 to like 37-ish too. But yeah, this is there's not much going on total wise in this one. But who do you like in a captain spot?
Gotta go with David Montgomery here. He returned to action last week, looked healthy, led the team in both rush attempts and receptions. So he is the perfect play in the captain slot here. Plus, you just mentioned this is a low total, 37.5, and he is certainly the best bet for a touchdown this game. So that's even more valuable in a game where you're not expecting that many touchdowns. So there's really not that many other options outside of Dave Montgomery. He is by far the best captain play here.
Yeah, and it's just ugly because like Washington actually has been pretty good in run defense, sixth in DVOA, but as you mentioned, you can't really count on Fields throwing the ball a ton. Wentz is Wentz. He Wentzed again last week. Like at no point last week did you think Carson Wentz was getting that ball into the end zone on that last drive. So yeah, it's gonna be ugly. Montgomery for me as well. Even in terms of a pivot, I would probably say Justin Fields just because he's gonna get a bunch of rushing attempts as well. I think in this game, and he did have his best game as a passer last week, 15-21, over 200 yards, a touchdown, and only 2 sacks with no picks. So Fields would be the pivot, but Montgomery would be the top one for me.
Yeah, Fields is a great pivot. I forgot to mention that, but that's a great pivot for sure. I would also say like Mooney or McLaurin, definitely candidates for a long touchdown here. So those would be options. But just honestly like this, I just think Monty's got to be the top play here.
Yep. Who do you like for dart throws?
So for dart throws for the Bears side, it is rough, but I think Velus Jones would be a fun dart throw because he had his NFL debut last week. Didn't play much, only played 3 snaps. But one of those plays was a 9-yard touchdown sort of run catch. They designed a pop pass play for him on the 9-yard line. So that was good to see that they designed a play for him near the goal line. So this week, I'm sure he's going to play more than 3 snaps. Could be a deep threat for Fields. So again, could break this slate with a single catch. So I like the idea of taking a flyer on Velus Jones here. And on the Commander side, you had a great call last week with De'Ami Brown, who he went off for 2 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it was actually Cam Sims that played the most in place of Jahan Dotson. Sims only ended with 1 catch for 7 yards, but he did he caught a 20-30-yard play that ended up getting overturned. But he's the kind of guy that usually steps up when a player like Dotson's out. So I like the idea of taking Sims. His rostership should be pretty low here because he didn't do anything last week. So I think he's probably the best dart throw on the Commander side.
Yeah, it was interesting. Look, I would have sworn that De'Ami Brown would have played the most, but it was actually Cam Sims. But De'Ami, like this week, I wouldn't use him either because everyone's going to kind of be chasing, and they actually priced him up to like a mid-range. He's not even a dart, and he's on the injury report on top of that. So yeah, I would go with Sims as well, and also keep an eye out for the tight ends because if Logan Thomas is out, you could have Bates and Cole Turner kind of getting all the routes at that position. And then for the Bears, I like the Velus Jones call. I'll actually go Dante Pettis. He's cheaper than Jones, and he's been running the 3rd most routes. Emir Smith-Marset kind of saw an uptick as well last week, but he had just like a miserable game. So I think Pettis had a couple of drops too, but I think at least for one more week, Pettis still retains that 3rd wide receiver role. And he's been running between, 60 to 75% of the routes, which, for his price, he's 1,800 on DraftKings. All he needs is a catch or 2, touchdown, something like that to kind of break the slate. So going with Dante Pettis, because I think he'll probably be lower owned than Sims, like a lot of these guys actually, because he hasn't shown up in the box score for what it's worth. But gotta like the underlying usage for Pettis. So that's what I'll go with. And we do got a fullback. We do have a fullback on the slate, Kari Blasingame. Any love for Kari Blasingame in this?
None whatsoever. Zip.
Great blocker though.